Isaiah 51:1. Listen to me, you who pursue righteousness and who seek the Lord. Look to the rock from which you were cut, and to the quarry from which you were hewn.
All right, so right away, when Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say the Son of Man is?" This is Caesarea Philippi. I had always heard it was a place where there were lots of statues. It was a Roman. No, it's a big wall of rock, but it had reliefs. It had like gods in the rock, carved into the rock, and probably Baal, the Baals. It was a pagan center. In fact, that hole in the middle, that was considered the gates of Hades. That's Hades.
Really?
Where is that?
This is here it is. This will explain it. The wall of rock at ancient Caesarea Philippi. So it's Caesarea. The Romans named it that. Located at the modern site of Benias Springs. So if you go to Israel, look for Benias Springs. It's a massive cliff face. This isn't as big as something in Big Bend. This is 100 feet tall, and some of those are 1,000. But still, for that area, 100 feet tall, 500 feet wide.
It's big.
Where a notorious pagan city once stood. If you watch The Chosen, you will notice when they go to Caesarea Philippi with Christ, they're asking, why are we here? Why are we at a pagan place where they would sacrifice goats to the gods? And they would do it at the entrance to the Hades, the gates of hell. This natural rock formation was carved with niches bridles, including one for the fertility god Pan. Then when we get Peter Pan, probably not. Just thought of it. And I didn't even think of that, the innuendo there of Peter.
What is the gates that never want to go down?
Just because you think it doesn't
Do
mean
you
you have
think
to
they
say
did
it.
human sacrifice or just goats and lambs?
Next week, maybe I can answer that.
Oh man, I'm full of questions today.
You're doing my job.
Stump the pastor.
In Peter Cave,
I never said that. I don't do that.
in Peter Cave, there was believed to be the gates of Hades, and was used for sacrifice. So there it is. That's where Jesus took the guys. And then he asked, who do people think I am? Because, I mean, you got all these guys. Which God? Jesus had taken his disciples to a place that no respectable Jew would go. To the very gates of hell. You would not see a Pharisee here. You wouldn't see any Jew here. This was pagans. This would have been where the Romans, they could name it. Because, I mean, the Jews didn't want it. So this is Caesarea Philippi. But it's interesting. I think it's because Jesus wanted to take them and say, we're taking it to the devil. I mean, we aren't hiding from him. We're taking the battle straight to hell, to the gates of hell. Yep. The message is, we're in Satan's territory, the earth, but this earth and this wall of rock that Satan has claimed was built by God, not by Satan, and we're taking it back. Now, I'm putting words into Jesus, but that's what I'm thinking. It's like, hey, I know that's the gates of hell, y'all think, but it's more, this rock means more than what they think it is. I'm going to tell you what this rock's all about.
I believe it because God's the creator, Satan is the perverter.
Satan claiming that rock. This is mine, there's the gates of hell. You good people say, oh wait, this is for me and my sacrifice. And Jesus shows up.
He says, no,
And to upset the guy.
I got the beat.
They replied, this is answer to you that you people say he is. Some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets. Jesus says, but what about you? Who do you say I am? Simon Peter answered, you are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. And Jesus said, blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but my Father in heaven. And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades, that hole right there, will not overcome it. Now, Catholics say that's the clear message. Jesus is a rock on which the church is built, etc., etc. But it isn't until you go to the Amplified version, and you look at, are there any differences in the rock and this rock and that rock, whatever. And here it is. I tell you. No, I'll let you read it here in a minute. I tell you, you are Peter. And the term he uses for Peter is Petros. You are Petros. It'd be a large chunk of rock. It'd be the kind of rock you would quarry. Remember, I'm talking about this big wall of rock. In Isaiah it talks about there's a big wall of rock and you are quarried out of that rock. You will be quarried out of that rock. Anyway, so Peter, you're a good sized boulder, but you're a boulder. And on this rock, Petra, huge rock, like Gibraltar, like Caesarea Philippi, like that wall of rock, and on this rock, I will build my church. And the gates of Hades, the powers of the infernal region, shall not overpower it, or be strong against it, or hold out against it. The very gates of hell, the guardians of hell, won't be able to stand against it. That wall, I'm going to claim, I'm going to say is faith. Today's message is about faith. Having faith in God. And faith is that wall. And that's what the church is built on. It's built on this big rock. Isn't the faith of Abraham, a belief in God in spite of the wickedness that was surrounding him, similar to the faith of Peter? Aren't we all boulders cut from the same wall of rock? Okay, Paula. We read all of that.
By faith, Abraham, when called to go to a place he would rather receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went, even though he did not know where he was going.
I think, did you say rather receive?
What did I say?
Later.
Later. It says later.
So it is. You've been talking about it's by faith. Faith is the source of all of our activity. Faith will also, we'll see, make us a descendant of Abraham. Okay, go ahead.
I'm sure. By faith, he made his home in the promised land like a stranger in a foreign country. He lived in tents, as did Isaac and Jacob, who were heirs with him of the same promise.
Notice Esau is not here. Isaac was Abraham's son, only son by what's her name?
Sarah.
And Isaac had two sons, Jacob and Esau. But Esau said, I don't want any part of this. I'm selling my birthright, you can have it. I'm marrying Canaanite women. So he did not keep the bloodline thing. We talked about that. Avoiding the Nephilim. Anyway. But Isaac and Jacob were heirs of the promise. Okay, go ahead.
For he was looking forward to the city with foundations, whose architect and builder is God. And by faith, even Sarah, who was past childbearing age, was enabled to bear children because she considered him faithful who had made the promise.
All faith. Having faith puts you in that church, in this group.
And so from this one man,
Abraham.
and he as good as dead,
No.
came descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as countless as the sand on the seashore.
By faith, Abraham's descendants didn't include Esau because he didn't have that faith. So it's faith that kept you in that line of a descendant. But when we have faith, we become a child of Abraham because we have faith in the same God that Abraham had faith in. At least that's my premise, and that's why we're as countless as sand on the seashore. I am convinced that the rock from which we are hewn is the rock of faith that both Abraham and Peter, Simon Peter, had.
What does hewn mean?
Oh,
Cut.
that's like cutting, right?
Cutting out from.
Yeah.
Cutting out from.
Quarry.
Hewn.
It'd be like, I think they use that term too, quarrying from the big rock.
Quarry. Okay.
So it's like, there's this big rock, a small rock, huge rock, and we are a chunk of that when we believe.
It's a woodworking term too.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah, to hewn something from a tree.
Okay.
Carve it from it, shape it from it.
Okay.
I think there's good.
I don't know if that may be a later translation of the word, but yeah, I mean it's common.
You can do this in real church.
No, you couldn't. No, yeah, we're.
Have a question?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I subject today?
Question has come up.
Numerous as the stars in the sky, countless as the sand. Alright. So then all of that was 51:1 we've been talking about. Now, we move on to 51:2. And look who are there. Go ahead.
Look to Abraham your father, and to Sarah, who gave you birth. When I called him, he was only one man, and I blessed him and made him many.
So it's interesting. They're right there. I mean, he's talking about Abraham and Sarah.
Listen to me, my people. Hear me, my nation. Instruction will go out from me. My justice will become a light to the nations.
This is God. This is Isaiah quoting God who's talking to his people. He's talking to Jews. He's talking to the chosen people. Listen to me, my people. Hear me, my nation. Singular. This is definitely a message for the Jews. Instruction will go out from me. What did they keep? They kept his words. Instruction. The Bible, the Word of God, was recorded. That's one thing the Jews did. I mean, they had prophecies, they had Genesis, they kept the Word. Very important to them. And that became instruction. It's going out from me. God says that instruction is from me, and it will become a light to the nations, plural. Right here in Isaiah, God is saying, hey, because of you, instruction is going out to the nation. Eventually, the word's going to go to all the nations on earth. Partially because of y'all, because of your faithfulness. Okay.
My righteousness draws near speedily. My salvation is on the way, and my arm will bring justice to the nations. The islands will look to me and wait in hope for my arm.
Talk a little bit about the islands. People saying, I haven't forgotten y'all either. These are my chosen people, but the word's going to get to y'all. The whole earth.
Lift up your eyes to heaven, to the heavens. Look at the earth beneath. The heavens will vanish like smoke. The earth will wear out like a garment, and its inhabitants die like flies. But my salvation will last forever. My righteousness will never fail.
Just remember that my phone is on. Don't embarrass me when you're preaching and your phone rings. Alright, so basically he's saying, my salvation will last forever. My righteousness will never end. I mean, even though there is going to be a time when everything wears out, but he'll create a new heaven and a new earth.
Hear me, you who know what is right, you people who have taken my instruction to heart. Do not fear the reproach of mere mortals, or be terrified by their insults.
So, once again, this kind of goes into that 51:1. You who know what is right, you've taken my instructions to heart. So, this is a big deal. If you are trusting in God, if you are leaning into Him, He's aware, and He's don't be worried about others. It's going to come. It's also going to come. Just as Jesus would even say, don't even be worried about the gates of hell, the demons. Don't worry about them. We are taking over. We're going to take this message to the whole earth.
For the moth will eat them up like a garment, the worm will devour them like wool. But my righteousness will last forever, my salvation through all generations.
We're moving on from that into Isaiah 52:7 now. Go ahead.
How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of those who bring good news, who proclaim peace, who bring good tidings, who proclaim salvation, who say to Zion, your God reigns.
Once again, this is the good news going out to others, and they say to Zion, to the Jews, your God reigns. So it's like, it's coming. There's going to be good news going throughout the whole world. And to a Jew, the idea of the Gentiles ever being right with God, that wouldn't cut it. This would be very hard. Even today, I would imagine, for a Jew to read this and think, what is he talking? What is Isaiah talking about?
Listen, your watchmen lift up their voices. Together they shout for joy. When the Lord returns to Zion, they will see it with their own eyes.
Once again, when we're reading the Bible, sometimes it's going to talk about one event, and it's going to carry through on this one event, and all of a sudden that's going to end, and we're in a whole different place. But what he's talking about now is, because this is Isaiah talking to the Jews that are in Babylon, and he's saying, hey, you're going back. He and Jeremiah said, you're going to be there 70 years and then you're going home. Well, this is Isaiah saying the same thing. You're going to shout for joy when the Lord returns to Zion, when the Shekinah glory comes back, and you rebuild the temple, and He's there. You'll see it with their own eyes. Okay.
Burst into songs of joy together, you ruins of Jerusalem. For the Lord has comforted His people. He has redeemed Jerusalem.
He's coming back to Jerusalem.
The Lord will lay bare His holy arm in the sight of all the nations, and all the ends of the earth will see the salvation of our God.
It's amazing that Cyrus, Persian, told the Jews, go home, because God has told me to tell y'all, go home and rebuild the temple. he conquered the Babylonians, and they talk a lot about Cyrus, but here it is. The whole world will see the salvation of God through a pagan, through Cyrus.
Depart, depart, go out from there. Touch no unclean thing. Come out from it and be pure, you who carry the articles of the Lord's house.
When the Jews left, oh, for the sake of Lord, I hate to think that all this is for naught again. I see a little tiny something. I guess it's too late. If it's not working, if it's not working, it's not working. I could come over there and just talk in the ears, but we'll just see what happens. At least we'll have your point. Anyway, when the Jews returned, they were given the articles to go back into the temple. And they're coming out of Babylon. He said, don't touch anything. Don't touch anything unclean. You're going home. Okay? Come out.
But you who will not leave in haste or go in flight, for the Lord will go before you. The God of Israel will be your rear guard.
Thank you, but I think it was Ezra. They were leaving, going a long way from Babylon back to Jerusalem. And it was like, should we ask for cards? And they decided, no, we need to show that we trust in our God. And they were protected. Anyway, he was there. He was going before them, and he was their rear guard.
See, my servant will act wisely. He will be raised and lifted up and highly exalted.
All of a sudden, and this is verse 13, we just read 12. Totally different subject. He's talking here about Jesus. He says, see, my servant will act wisely. He will be raised and lifted up and highly exalted. Now, we know he was raised on the cross, lifted up. Highly exalted seems like happens later, but he will act wisely. Is it wise to be crucified? Yes, if it means that you're saving everyone who will believe. It's wise. Anyway, that's 13. Here's 14.
Just as there were many who were appalled at him, his appearance was so disfigured beyond that of any human being, and his form marred beyond human likeness.
Remember, it says he will be highly exalted in verse 13. Then it says, just in the same way that he was highly exalted, many were appalled at him because he was so disfigured.
So he will sprinkle many nations, and kings will shut their mouths because of him.
Now, stop here for a second. Is this sprinkling with his blood? Is this talking about he's going to redeem many nations? I kind of think so. Here we go ahead.
For what they were not told, they will see, and what they have not heard, they will understand.
The Gentiles are going to understand what, they weren't told. I mean, they're told later, but they're going to buy it. Okay.
Who has believed our message, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed?
This is in 53:1 now.
He grew up before them. He grew up before him like a tender shoot, and like a root out of dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him.
This is Isaiah writing 600 years before Christ, and we've seen missionaries to Israel reading this to the locals, and they'll ask, who's this about? And they'll say, it's Jesus. I mean, who else? The more you read, the more you say, this is talking about Jesus. And they know him. They know him. Yeah.
He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. Like one from whom people hide their faces, he has despised, and we held him in low esteem. Surely he took up our pain and bore our suffering, yet we considered him punished by God, stricken by him and afflicted.
We know, Jesus, took up our pain and bore our suffering. The wrath of God that was destined for us, he took. Yeah, we consider him punished by God, stricken by God and afflicted. No, he was stricken by God for us. Yeah.
But he was pierced for our transgressions.
So this is where in the tomb when they pierce the heart, blood and water flowed out, and then what happens at death, there's something about water, it separates around the heart or something. I thought at the time, I'll ask Marcy. I'll ask the doctor.
Stop the doctor.
I don't know that answer.
All right.
Stop the doctor.
That's what I've heard. So we can, anybody else heard?
If he was alive, it would have only been blood. But
So,
he was
yeah.
dead when they pierced him, and blood and water came out, so
We'll check
that was proof.
What do you mean?
Well, I can research that.
What does that mean?
He was
Huh,
He was crushed for our iniquities, and punishment that brought us peace was on him, for by his wounds we were healed.
Healed by his wounds. Yeah.
We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to our own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all.
Over and over saying the same thing. It's like, we sinned, we earned the death penalty, Jesus took the death penalty, he did not sin. We got the gold medal. The great exchange that they call it.
I've heard in a lot of synagogues they avoid those verses.
Right, I've heard that too.
I wondered how they dealt with this.
They don't read
They
It's so
ignored
obvious.
it.
They ignore it
Yes.
Why would they be against it?
Well,
because it points to Jesus.
It points to the
Oh.
New Testament, the New Covenant.
Oh, not the Old Testament. Okay.
I saw the guy talk to the rabbi and the priest, and he goes, he read it. Have you ever read this? No, I haven't. And this is a rabbi he was talking to. He read it to him. So where is that from? And he told him, he said, I couldn't believe it. So,
Really?
yeah.
Not very informed.
Yeah. You don't get to pick and choose. It's not a buffet.
No.
Sorry, preacher.
He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shears is silent, so he did not open his mouth. By oppression and judgment he was taken away, yet who of his generation protested? For he was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgression of my people he was punished. He was assigned a grave with the wicked, and with the rich in his death, though he had done no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it was the Lord's will to crush him and cause him to suffer. And though the Lord makes his life an offering for sin, and this is still in Isaiah, right? He will see his offspring and prolong his days, and the will of the Lord will prosper in his hand. After he has suffered, he will see the light of life and be satisfied. By his knowledge, my righteous servant will justify many, and he will bear their iniquities.
So he is raised from the dead, and he's satisfied because he sees that he's justified many. Justification, we call it that. It's just as if we never sinned. But it doesn't say justify everybody. I mean, a lot of people say, well, salvation is universal. We're all saved. No, it says here many. And he will bear their iniquities. Those those that say, okay, here are my sins, Jesus, died for them. Those that put our burden on him, we're saved. Okay, so don't assume that that all dogs go to heaven. So let's think. Okay.
Therefore I will give him a portion among the great, and he will divide the spoils with the strong, because he poured out his life unto death, and was numbered with the transgressors. For he bore the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors.